Okay, morning Thapelo, how are you today?
Good morning, Loretta. I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to Suero TV.
Thank you.
Emma.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Emma. So we're going to just start with an introduction of yourself and what you do and who you are. Emma, please kindly introduce yourself to our audience today.
Thank you for that. My name is Thapelo Moribame. I'm the head of market development here at the Botswana Stock Exchange. So my responsibility really at the Botswana Stock Exchange is to increase the investor base and also to engage companies that we feel have the potential to list in the short to medium term and just sell the listing value proposition to them.
Okay, Emma. So the purpose of our interview today is basically to educate our viewers what the Botswana Stock Exchange is and what is a stock exchange basically, and how can one invest in it? How does it work? That is the purpose of our interview today. So this is why Thapelo is here to make it clear for us on how this works. You know, everybody just says invest in the stock exchange. What does that mean? And and how does it work? So the very first thing that I would like to ask you, Thapelo, what is the stock exchange? What is that?
A stock exchange is a platform that allows companies that want to raise money from the market. It might be a company that wants to extend their services. So they might be looking for capital to grow their services either within Botswana or even outside Botswana. So they come to the exchange to list with us and they raise capital from investors who are willing to invest in those companies. And then what happens here at the stock exchange again is that investors would then trade those shares amongst themselves. So that is what we normally refer to as the secondary market.
Okay. All right. So what is okay, now let's explain the Botswana Stock Exchange. What is the Botswana Stock Exchange?
So the stock exchange is mandated to run the securities market here in Botswana. So the securities market consists of shares that I know a lot of investors are familiar with. It also consists of bonds, and it also consists of exchange traded funds. So we currently have 32 companies that have listed on the Botswana Stock Exchange, and those companies span across 10 sectors. And amongst those 32 companies, we have foreign companies and we also have domestic companies. So we also have about 48 bonds. So companies, apart from issuing shares in the market, companies can also come to the market to borrow funds from the public for certain projects that they want to do. So they would then issue bonds and then investors would invest in those bonds. So we have 48 bonds, like I've said, 7 of them being government, and then the rest of them being corporate bonds. And we also have 3 exchange-traded funds. So exchange-traded funds are a special type of product. So they are sort of similar to shares, but not quite. So we currently have those 3 products that we have at the Botswana Stock Exchange. Let me take you back to the history of the exchange. We started in 1989 as an informal share market. So over the years, we have grown, we have evolved. We used to be a mutual company, and that is not the case anymore because we demutualized in 2018. So now we are a company, Loretta. We are actually a company.
So congratulations.
Yeah. So over the years, thank you. So over the years, we have seen a lot of developments happening at the Botswana Stock Exchange in terms of regulation, which is a very important component. We introduced listings requirements, the new ones, in 2019, where as part of the new listings requirements, we introduced a new SME board. So I'll explain what boards are later on when we get to companies. We have introduced certain technologies that enable us to perform better as an exchange. So investors now have their securities trading on the ATS, that is the automated trading system, which is at par with the levels of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, the London Stock Exchange. Yes, so we do have a CSD system again. A CSD is a depository, so it's sort of like a bank. So that's where electronic shares are kept, because we don't issue paper share certificates anymore. So we are actually introducing a new CSD system in the next few weeks. So that is it in terms of some of the developments that we've had. In the next few weeks, we are also introducing a new website, which is quite interactive. We are also introducing a new app. So I'm just trying to show you where we've come from as an exchange. So there has been some developments. We are also up there with other stock exchanges in terms of some international groupings really that help us as an exchange also to perform at the same level as bigger and developed stock exchanges. So we are doing our best as an exchange, because we do say that we want to be world class. So basically, we just develop on an ongoing basis. We introduce new developments that we feel will appeal to our investors and Botswana at large.
Yeah, I mean, this is very interesting. I mean, so this means now Botswana can just log in and actually just invest from where they are. Is that what you're saying? You can actually be helped by you guys from me sitting here. I can just go into the website, see what companies are listed. Are you able to help for me to invest onto the stock exchange from where I'm sitting? Is that what you're saying with the developments?
Let me just say, for you to invest, to buy securities in the market or sell securities, you have to go through a broker.
Yes, okay.
Yes. So the website helps in terms of information dissemination. So we will be updating real-time prices on the website, because we're going to have a ticker on the website. A ticker is, you might have seen one at CBD. We have one at CBD where it displays market prices as trading happens. So we're going to have a ticker, so that information will be available to investors. We are also going to have certain elements that will allow investors to keep an eye on certain stocks that they're interested in.
Ah, perfect. Actually, this is really, really exciting. I'm excited myself. So, when you're actually mentioning that one has to invest into the stock market through a broker, I will be having an interview with a broker as well after this interview, so that now the investor can understand from the broker's perspective how the broker works as well. So thank you for actually mentioning that one has to use a broker. So we'll be having a conversation about the broker with the broker when the conversation comes. Okay, so now please kindly take us through a process of how a company can get listed into the Botswana Stock Exchange. Let's say I'm Suero Consulting, I need to grow my business. What is the process, and what is the requirements of a company to get listed into the Botswana Stock Exchange?
Yes, that's an interesting question. So if you're a company and you want to expand your services, like I've said, you can come to the Botswana Stock Exchange and list shares at the Botswana Stock Exchange. So currently we have 4 boards at the BSE. We have the main board, which is for bigger companies. And then we have the venture board. And then we have the TPD SME board that we introduced in 2019. And then we have the Serala OTC board. So any company that wants to list can list on any of those 4 boards that I've mentioned. So the difference between these boards is the level of requirements. So because the main board is the top tier board, it has more stringent requirements. So it's mostly suitable for companies that have been operating for some time and they have an operating history. And then for the SME board, as a company, you need not have any operating history. So the SME board is actually suitable for companies that are starting, as well as the venture board. So for companies that want to list, they can familiarize themselves with the 4 boards that I've mentioned. And then the second thing is we have our Bible here at the BSE, which is the listings requirements. The listings requirements. So listings requirements, they prescribe requirements for a company to be admitted into the Botswana Stock Exchange. And they also give requirements for companies to remain listed on the Botswana Stock Exchange, because you have to comply at the point of listing. You also have to comply on an ongoing basis. So for any company that wants to list, they have to be aware of the listings requirements. But I normally tell companies that, don't really worry about reading the entire listings requirements at the beginning, because we have brokers that I mentioned, 4 brokers. It's actually Motswedi Securities, Imara, African Alliance, and Stockbrokers Botswana. So the purpose of having these 4 brokers is that they also act, apart from selling and buying securities for investors, they also act as sponsoring brokers for companies that are listing.
Okay.
So by that I mean, they actually help companies with the listing process. So they'll help you interpret the listings requirements. They also help companies in terms of assembling a team of advisors, because if you are listing, you're going to need legal advisors for your legal work. You're probably going to need corporate advisors for your corporate advisory work. So sponsoring brokers assist with that process. So as a company, when you now have your application ready to submit to the Botswana Stock Exchange, you do the submission. And then I always say the time we take at the BSE really depends, the listings process depends on the quality of the submission. So if you submit a good application from the beginning, then that will minimize the back and forth between us and the listing entity. So all in all, the listing process takes about 30 days, and then you're officially listed at the Botswana Stock Exchange. You get to enjoy the benefits of being listed, which I must say are really, really good for companies that are part of our listed family.
All right. What are the benefits of being listed?
And the number one benefit is the fact that companies are able to raise capital to expand their services. So that's number one. So I hope that's very clear. So by that I mean, when companies list, the investors who put in the money, that money is then used by the company to sort of expand services and for whatever the company needs to do with them. Yes. And then the second thing is the visibility aspect. So being listed allows companies to be visible to their stakeholders. So most of the listed companies, you know them. I can ask you to name one. They're well known. Yes.
Okay.
Your Engine.
Barclays, I think that's Barclays, right?
Yes. So they're well known. It's companies that we know. So visibility is very important. And then the third aspect is that it gives companies the ability to sort of give customers an ownership or a stake in the company. So if you are a customer of, say, F&B, you are able to buy stock and be a part owner of that company. So it gives that advantage. And then the third thing I'll talk about, employee share schemes. So if you're looking to have your employees also become part owners of the company, you can list that company and give them that opportunity. So the benefits are wide. We are available as the BSC for companies to enjoy such.
Because there are employers actually that allow or give an opportunity for employees to actually invest into their business as well. So that means the company also has to be listed with the stock exchange for that to happen. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily. That can happen outside of the stock market.
Okay. All right. No, that's fine. Okay. So comparing the BSE to the stock exchanges, the international stock exchanges, if you observe the JSE, for example, even the ones in the Dow Jones, the ones in the US, it's always so busy. There's always like computers. You can just see it's so busy, especially when it's the stocks are going up and down or being unstable or whatever. Is that the picture? Is that what's happening there as well? Is there like computers and somebody always managing what's happening, especially during now when the economies are not doing too well? I know the guys, the guys who are managing the stocks are always, they don't even sleep trying to manage the up and down of the stocks. Is that what happens at the Botswana Stock Exchange? Is it the same feel as well? If you come there, we're gonna find some nerdy looking guys looking at some big computers, not knowing what's going on there. Is that the same? The same feel?
I don't know. I think you have to come here at some point. You have to come here at some point. But we are quite busy here, though. So you spoke about international stock exchanges, and I must say that as a stock exchange in Botswana, we are doing very well. In fact, last year we were named the second biggest stock exchange in terms of market cap in sub-Saharan Africa. So which is really, really good for us. I mean, we've done some very good work. Last year we got a prize from SRP in South Africa, by the way. The awards were held in South Africa. So we were voted the best educational initiative for our high school competition. So we are quite proud of that. And we also participate in international platforms. We currently house the committee of SADC stock exchanges. We house the secretariat is here at the BSE, and our CEO is the chairman of COSE. We are also a member of ASEA. ASEA is an African association of stock exchanges. We also sit in the executive committee. We are also an affiliate member of the World Federation of Stock Exchanges. So speaking of international, I think we are doing quite well here at the Botswana Stock Exchange. We are proud of the work that we do, and we always want to improve our services here at the BSC. So, yeah.
All right. Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much for explaining that. All right. Thanks, Mpo, for that. So, how long normally does one have to get their returns on investments? How long? The reason why I'm saying this is that I want us to mention the importance of patience when you're going to buy a stock in a company or buy bonds in a company, because this is another thing that I know a lot of people are very quite impatient when they are investing and they're thinking they can get the returns right away. So I want us to stress on the importance of being patient in terms of getting your returns when you invest in the stock exchange, or you invest on a company listed on the stock exchange. How long sometimes it will take to get your returns, and the importance of having the patience of getting good returns. Can we please discuss that at length so that people understand the importance of this?
Definitely. Unfortunately, you cannot really predict the amount of time it will take for investors to make any returns, because you cannot even predict the performance of the company, or you can't even predict other elements that might have an impact on the share price. So historically, we have experienced a much higher rate of success over a longer period of time. So patience is important when you're investing, because you can't, when you invest, you might start with buying a certain number of shares, and then later on you increase your portfolio and all of that. So you can't really put a time to it. You just have to be patient and do the investment, and then wait for a certain period of time to realize returns.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that answer as well. So what about, tell me about the risks normally involved in investing in stock. What are the risks there? So when one comes, they are aware of the risks as well as the benefits. But let's start with the risks, and then we'll talk about the benefits of it on a general.
Okay. Okay, let me start with I'll answer both questions at once. So let me explain something. Normally when we teach about investing in shares, we always emphasize the fact that as an investor, you have to be aware of the return potential of your investment. You also have to be aware of the risk factors. So when you understand those two aspects, then it will be easy to sort of follow what is happening with your investment. So let me explain what shares are so that we can understand the risks properly. So when a company comes to the exchange to issue shares in the market or sell part of their shareholding to individuals or even institutional investors, they would do so, and then investors that put in the money, they become part owners of that company. So when you invest in a company, when you buy shares, you are a part owner. So you are part and parcel of that company. If you buy 5% Lorato, you own 5% of that company. So when that happens, the benefits that accrue to you as an investor are wide. You get to enjoy the capital growth when the share price goes up. You also get to benefit when a company posts profits and then you are paid dividends as a shareholder. You also have a say in the running of that company because you are a shareholder. When there's an AGM, you also attend the AGM. You are able to sort of give your feedback in terms of how you wish for the company to be run. So those are the benefits of investing in shares. But just like the benefits, there are risks that are involved in investing in shares. So the risk is that the company can underperform. So if it underperforms, then you may lose part or all of your investment. So when you have bought a share at 1 pula and then it drops to 50 tebe, then you have lost about 50% of your investment. And then if the company collapses or it underperforms, then you may lose all of your investment. So the one thing that we always advise investors to do is that they should diversify their investment. So I spoke about 3 products earlier when I made the introduction. We have shares, we have bonds, we have exchange traded funds. So as an investor, you can look across, you can diversify across those 3 different securities, or you can even diversify within the companies that have listed equity. You can buy company A and company B so that you diversify and mitigate the risk of losing your investment.
Yeah. So are bonds generally more secure than the other types of shares?
Yes, bonds are low risk compared to shares because what happens to you as an investor when you invest in bonds is that you say you buy a bond for 10,000, you generate a certain interest over the bond period. If it's a 5-year bond, then you say it pays 8%, you get your 8% the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, and then at the end of the 5 years, you get your 10,000 pula back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, bonds
are normally
are
a lot more secure than the shares investing. So basically, what this means, but on that, investing in shares, as much as it is a lot riskier than in bonds, it has normally better returns.
Definitely.
Because the riskier normally the better returns that you get.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's one thing that investors need to understand when they come in, that yes, you can invest in bonds, and when you invest in stocks, which is shares, what it means is shares can be a lot more riskier, but it means normally it means better returns. But obviously you have to be aware that you are a shareholder of that company. If it's not doing well, it's not doing well. So tell me, as an investor in the stock of a company, buying shares, are you entitled to management accounts, monthly management accounts, to see how it's performing monthly, apart from the annual general meetings? What else is an investor also entitled to when they actually invest in a company listed?
Okay, I did talk about the capital growth when the share price goes up. So it means your investment is going to grow at the same rate. I also talked about dividends. When a company makes profit, then you get your dividends as a shareholder, but the dividend will depend on the dividend policy of that company.
Yeah.
And when you invest in shares, there's also an ease in terms of buying and selling shares. So if you want to sell your shares, for example, you simply go to a broker, which is not difficult. So yeah, those are the benefits of investing in shares.
Yeah, no, meaning that what I meant is entitlement. I meant the investor actually has access to management accounts of the company to know how the company is performing.
Yes.
That's the role of the broker. That's what I was asking. Does the investor have that privilege of access to that kind of information when they invest in that particular company?
Definitely, yes. As a shareholder, you're going to have that information because companies hold AGMs every year. So that's the kind of discussion that can happen at the AGM platform.
All right. Now, you've talked about basically the stocks or the shares can lose value. And there are different reasons for shares to lose value or gain value. And then you would, for example, so now what are the reasons? For instance, if one is watching BTV, I want to bring it down to Botswana. One is watching BTV news, and they're looking at how stocks are performing. Barclays has gone up, Falana has this, Sechaba has, gone down. What does that mean? And what causes shares sometimes to go up, and normally what would cause shares to go down on a daily? Let's interpret that for Botswana. How the lady Kobe TV, this has gone up today, and it looks there's a green arrow going down, and then there's a red arrow going down. What does that mean? Let's interpret that for a Botswana sitting at home and trying to understand what that means.
Definitely, Lorato. Shares can gain value and they can also lose value. So when you buy shares, there's a certain price that you buy at. For example, if it's 1 pula, the price can drop to 50 tebe. Yes. It can even increase to 150 or 2 pula. So really, the share price shows the sentiment of the investors. So if investors do not have confidence in the company and they decide to sell their they decide to sell their shares, they decide to sell their shares, so the share price may drop. And then if customers are optimistic about the performance of the market, they're optimistic about the performance of the company, they may start buying that share, and then the share price can go up. So the sentiment is driven by different reasons, so which are different to each investor. So you might have seen around the time when the pandemic started, share prices around the world started dropping. So because investors were experiencing a moment of panic, they probably needed to have access to their money, so they probably sold what they held in those companies. So it really shows the sentiment of the market that is driven by different reasons. So it might be the fact that people want to withdraw their money so they can use it for something else, or people are panicking because they think share prices are going to drop and they're going to lose their investment, or simply because investors don't have confidence in the company, or stuff like that. So different reasons for different companies, for different investors.
Yeah, but it's basically demand and supply then. The more demand, the higher the price, the less demand, the lower the price. It just drops. Oh, okay. It actually makes sense. All right. So I think we have actually answered most of the questions for the investor today. I think we'll probably have a second interview. We'll talk about it and enough points just to get even a better understanding in case people wanna find out and ask more questions about investing in the Botswana Stock Exchange. But I think you've given quite a clear of how it works. For one to invest into into Botswana Stock Exchange, they need a stockbroker. You've already listed the brokers. It's Mutswedi African Alliance, Stockbrokers Botswana, and Imara. Yes. So those are the brokers to actually visit if you want to invest into the Botswana Stock Exchange. Don't go knocking into the Botswana Stock Exchange if you want to invest. They are going to send you back to the brokers for you to invest into the Botswana Stock Exchange. But I'm glad that you've actually cleared on how it works. Buying stocks is basically buying shares in a company. And what you also made clear was even bonds, even buying of bonds is also listed through the BSE. So you use the brokers as well if you want to buy government bonds or any bonds for a company, which are normally more secure than the shares, right? You also mentioned the third one. Could you kindly remind us on the third one as well that you can
exchange traded fund.
Exchange
traded funds or ETFs.
How does that one work? Exchange rate traded funds.
So we currently have 3 ETFs listed here at the Botswana Stock Exchange. So ETFs are similar to a share in the sense that they are bought and are traded in the market. So we have 2 commodity ETFs and 1 fixed income ETF. So any investor that wants to buy an ETF simply has to approach a broker and buy.
Ah, okay. All right, that makes sense as well. But we are very thankful for today, Thapelo. We've come to an end of our interview. I think we all have an idea how the Botswana Stock Exchange works and what's happening there. Many developments. I like the idea of the new website, refreshed website, as well as the app. We're looking forward to that. We will be looking out for it. And I will visit to come and see what's happening there as well.
Yes.
Emma, thank you so much for this interview, Emma. You should have a lovely day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Laura. I think I must say that I encourage companies to come to the market. I know during this era of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of companies might be looking to raise capital. So we are available to assist with that regard. And we also have various platforms that companies or investors alike can access to receive information on the Botswana Stock Exchange. Our social media pages are quite active. So anyone who's looking for information can actually visit those pages to get more information about the market.
Okay. All right, perfect, actually. And thank you for mentioning that, actually, that, if you're not doing well as a business and you would like some capital injection to, instead of actually getting a loan, you can actually come and list and have investors invest in it. And you'll find out these are reputable companies that people know, and they would actually have confidence in investing in it. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that, so that we give SMEs or even bigger companies out there struggling a bit and trying to find ways for capital injection into their business.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Thapelo.
Thank you, Lorato. Have a great day.
And same to you.